Alright guys, what's going on? This is Patrick and this is your NRW for January 31st, 2018. The last NRW for the month of January. We're full speed ahead into the month and it's been pretty cool. A lot of stuff been coming out. You know, we've been covering all that DC stuff. DC's kind of like pulled me in as a fan again now. And I've always been a Marvel guy. And, you know, with Marvel doing all these crazy things like that, if you saw on Adam's piece with his picks, this no surrender thing. There's a lot of stuff that kind of Marvel's still doing that they haven't kind of moved on to some other better, interesting things. And DC's still doing a bit of the same deal, but I think a lot of this whole rebirth, this whole new DC Age of Heroes thing that they're doing that I learned a lot about at DC and DC seems quite interesting, and I'll get back to that in just a second. So my first two picks kind of ended off 2017, and it's a little bit controversial. It's the whole Star Wars The Last Jedi. You either loved it or you hated it. I was caught in between, and I'm sure if you saw from our channel, me and Adam and CY, we talked a little bit about it. My man J Mark talked a little bit about it. And, you know, we're kind of like all over the place. Some loved it, some hated it. So, three characters that I thought were rather interesting, but also really didn't fit in the movie are in relation to my two picks this week. First up, Star Wars The Last Jedi, DJ's Last Stand. Who is DJ? I was asking myself when I watched that movie as well, because
he's a stammering prick.
It was played by one of this generation's greatest actors, Benicio del Toro, but it just was very awkward in the film, and it just was kind of just thrown in there. Here's Benicio, he's in the prison, he helps out Rose and Finn, and then they get off, and then he betrays them. Spoiler, but whatever. You either loved it or you hated it, and I'm sure you've seen this by now. Everybody saw Star Wars Last Jedi. So it was just a weird appearance cameo. I'm curious with the next installment of Star Wars if we're going to get more of this character. Do you know, Adam, if we're getting more of DJ, if Benicio signed it?
Unfortunately, I don't know.
So, but it was really weird with this character. So,
it was a role I was really looking forward to that I was very let down by.
Yeah, same. You know, I was very curious and I was a little bit let down. So if there was, you know, because I was on the fence, if there are certain things I was let down on, Benicio was that. And that's why I'm very curious about this particular issue that Marvel's putting out. Star Wars, The Last Jedi, DJ's Last Stand. Apparently what we're going to find out in this, and they didn't give me too much in the write-up before I picked this book, but because, again, I don't know too much about it, that's what's bringing me to it. We're going to get the information of what happened before he was caught up in the jail. So I'm curious to know more about this guy, what put him in there, and, you know, he's the code breaker, or was he not the code breaker? He was a master thief? I don't know. He was just a rapscallion that, you know, there's so many unanswered questions, and I'm hoping I get that in DJ's Last Stand and bringing me into the Last Jedi film. So that's my first pick out the gate. Another set of characters that I enjoyed, but also, again, if you watched it, and some people thought she was unnecessary, but I liked her. And being Asian American, I was really happy about it because it was our representation within the universe. Although this is the galaxy, so they're not really Asian American. It's whatever planet they're from, but they were played by Asian American actors. So, Rose and Paige is part of the weekly series that IDW is putting out, Star Wars Adventures, Forces of Destiny.
There you go.
All right. Basically, they're spotlighting some of the iconic female characters within the Star Wars universe. You had Rey, which was one of my picks in a previous episode. There was a Padme and Osaka.
Hera, Leia.
Yeah, you're getting Leia. You're getting some of these characters that we really didn't get a lot of detail on. And what I like about it, again, being a fanboy with a female, the daughter who's becoming a fangirl, you know, it's something that I can show her and she can get into and kind of get that nerddom in her. And so we also have like those figures. If you've been to Walmart and Target, I'm sure you've seen the Star Wars Forces of Destiny figures that are really cool. Leia came with a little R2-D2, Rey came with BB-8. It's kind of cute. So they're dropping this book, Rose and Paige, and again, from The Last Jedi, we didn't get too much information because in that beginning part of the film, Paige sacrifices herself to drop the bombs on that Star Destroyer and kind of kick things off, and then we then find out when Rose meets Finn, she has like the same necklace, and she's, you know, crying because she lost her sister sacrificed herself. So I'm really curious about this bond, and I think that's really interesting, and just to know a little bit more about that sisterly love there. So super cool, and something I could give my daughter to read after I check it out as well. So those are my first two books, Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Very controversial. A lot of people wanted to know more about these and characters, and here we're getting it. So that's what I love about the comics and books, because the film only gives us like a couple of hours of entertainment. But if you want to dig deeper, you got to go to the source material. So definitely check that out. And if you live in the Woodbridge area, shout out to Painted Visions, where we're at right now. Check out this and make this your local comic shop if you live in this area. And Adam will have these books ready and waiting for you. All right. So on to my top pick. Going back to DC. No, DC didn't pay me after DC and DC. They didn't say, hey, you podcasters, you writers, we want you to be part of the DC team now.
No, he shills for free.
I shill for free. They just had a lot of good, interesting stuff going on and rolling out. So this new DC Age of Heroes, Adam picked Damage #1. Was last week?
Well, I didn't pick it, but somebody did.
Okay, somebody picked it. Somebody on our group picked it. But it looked really cool. I didn't get a chance to check it out. But one of the characters I was very interested in, because, again, I'm looking for more representation. And Silencer #1 drops this week from DC Comics. And it's a new female superhero. I actually had a chance to read it before we filmed this podcast. So super excited. And so I got a lot more to tell you about it. It's being written by John Romita Jr., classic artist that you know. And he's working with Dan Abnett. So sharing the writing chores with Dan Abnett, and JR is also illustrating. Silencer #1 is about a woman by the name of Honor Guest. She was a professional assassin that has been around for a long time, but apparently we don't know nothing about her because she was so good at her work that you really didn't get to know who's that baddie that killed that person. And she's trying now for the past 5 years to just live a normal life. When all of a sudden some bad guys start knocking at her door, her old life has, caught back up to her. Sure, you've heard this tale before. And also knocking at her door is Talia al Ghul. And if you all know her from Batman Arkham, she is warning her that, these bad guys are after her. Apparently, Honor made a pact with Talia that Honor could leave that crime lord, bad guy, assassin life to a normal life. And so Talia is essentially letting her know that they're coming after her and you better watch out. It's not going to be the same anymore. So very interesting. I really enjoyed that first issue. And also it has a nod because apparently Honor Guest has been living for the past 5 years in Charleston, South Carolina, where I went to high school and where I'm from. So that was a really cool kind of a shout out there. But yeah, very interesting character, very cool in her power set that she has. I don't know if it's a power set or if it's kind of a exoskeleton uniform that she wears, but looks really cool. I'm super excited about it. They've pulled me in with that first issue, and I am a fan of John Romita, so it's cool to see him and working with Dan Abnett, who's been in the business for a long time. So Silencer #1 is my top pick, and again, the controversial Star Wars: The Last Jedi, DJ's Last Stand issue #1, and Star Wars Adventures Rose and Paige #1 are round out my other picks. I also have a couple bonus picks if you want to check that out. Make sure you follow me at Strange Since 1977 on IG and at Temple Furries on Twitter. And as always, PatrickStrange.com, and of course, New Release Wednesday at the NRW and at New Release Wednesday. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, y'all. This is Patrick, and those are my picks for NRW, and I'm out of here. Boom!
No,